and welcome to the No Flipping Excuses Show.
Don't touch that.
This is the #1 podcast for real estate investing, and each episode covers what you need to know to find and flip deals right now.
Wow!
Break free of the chains that are holding you back and join us on today's episode.
Hey, what's up? It's Jason Lucchese, and welcome to the No Flipping Excuses Show. I am super excited about this episode. We're going to be discussing how to scale your business. You know that I'm really big on once you have your business, obviously for the first few months, you're probably going to be doing everything yourself. But at a stage, at a point, you need to start being the CEO of your business. And that's what I really am excited for on this episode. I've got my good friend, Franklin Cruz, with us. I've known him for several years. But the thing is, this is our first time actually seeing each other over a video conference that we're doing right now. So Franklin, how you doing, buddy?
Dude, I'm doing amazing. I apologize. I do have to have a light on me because of my caramel complexion. So
no problem.
I'm honored to be here, man.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And Franklin and I were able to talk offline. A lot of people, they kind of get stuck, Franklin, when they're in that entrepreneur phase. I was there, and then it takes a little bit to get you to keep climbing up the mountain. So, there's books that have been published like E-Myth, Traction, some really great books out there that kind of detail, like, once you start getting your business going, you should step aside and really start focusing on the things that CEOs focus on. But before we dive into what you want to share on this episode, Franklin, tell folks a little bit about yourself and what you're doing, man.
Yeah, no problem at all. So thank you so much, Jason. I'm completely honored to be on the show, man. To me, I just want to give back. I've been through a whole bunch in my lifetime. I know I look good for 74, so it's been a while. But at the end of the day, I just want to give back. So what I'm up to, my background is I actually have a military background. I spent 7.5 years in the United States Army, served Operation Iraqi Freedom. And during that time frame when I was in Iraq, actually, is when I made the decision I'm 100% going to be a real estate investor. I was already doing it part-time.
Thanks for serving, by the way.
No problem at all, man. It was an honor. I do appreciate the free pancakes at IHOP, so thank you, IHOP. But one thing that what came up for me was I was already doing real estate part-time. And right when the war hit, I was like, man, this is going to be a long-ass war. I got to figure this thing out. And what can I do? And this is for the newbies, and I'm pretty sure that the people that are experienced understand this story. The newbies was like, what can I do that takes little work and I can make more money than a doctor with not a doctor's degree? Right. That's literally my framework, was like, what can I, and the only thing I thought about was like, I got to go all in on this real estate thing. Cause I didn't have a degree. I'm not a doctor, even though I did stay at a Holiday Inn twice. But it's like, I just didn't get it. And so I've went through this journey of real estate. I've went through the journey of being infatuated with mentoring and coaching. I was a part of an amazing company. And I'll even say their name. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of Clever Investor. When me and Cody started, there was no fulfillment. We were just winging it on coaching people. Yeah. And it was the most amazing experience, Jason, that I had. I had the opportunity to grow the fulfillment side in specifically, not the entire company, only fulfillment. But I was able to grow it from just one mentor when I first got on board to I built out to 18 mentors throughout the entire country, serving over 1,000 students a year.
Nice.
And it was amazing. I learned so much from growing that from scratch. And I still believe Clever Investor, amazing organization. If you're a part of it, great community.
Absolutely.
But then after that time frame, me and Cody, we chose to go different directions, which was fine. And then I decided to go all in on some business opportunities that I had, which had nothing to do with real estate. And it was literally, Jason, it was like me, I just wanted to push myself because I was like, I can't just be a real estate investor. I've literally been doing this for a long time, over a decade. Yeah. And I'm not saying I've hit every financial goal that I've ever wanted to hit. I've been very blessed and very honored that I just never effed up big enough that I had to get a job. Okay. Right. I'm not sure if anybody understands what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So for me that was a kind of a big deal. And I was like, okay, what can I get involved with? And an opportunity came up to me. And I truly believe when an opportunity comes up to you, sometimes you have to sit back and think, does this correlate to my long-term goal or not?
Yep.
Right. And if it does, probably you need to look a little bit, ask some more questions about the opportunity. And so what happened is a buddy of mine said he was in charge. He ran a plumbing company, a $3 million plumbing company in Lakeland, Polk County.
Yep.
And it was called True Plumbers. And so right when that happened, he's like, dude, I need you to be the CEO. And it's like already 30 employees. And I said, dude, I don't know crap about plumbing. I know business. I know leadership. I know numbers because I'm just like, I'm a nerd sometimes when it comes to that. I was like, but dude, I don't know nothing about plumbing. Like, really? And he's like, no, just give it a shot. You know, we'll come up with a good compensation plan and just give it a shot for 6 months. If you like it, let's more. So I said, all right, I'll go on. So that's it, man. And for 6 months, I was the CEO of a plumbing company. And I have to admit, I loved it because what we did is in 6 months, we went from $3 million annually to on pace for $6 million. We doubled their profit margins from 7 to 15%. And then we made the Inc. 5000 list for the first time ever. They were on the Inc. 0 list last year or the year before. And then they made the Inc. 3000.
Nice.
And I was like, oh my goodness, I actually think I know what I'm doing now. Right?
Right.
Which is farther from the truth. Okay. And we never, and please, anybody who's listening, write this down. You're never going to reach the top of the mountain. Okay. So stop. Just stop right there. You're never, ever going to meet it. It's not going to happen.
I agree.
You got to just have what's your personal goal and then see if you could hit those personal goals and what I call the SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely.
Yep.
That's kind of it, right? And we'll dig deep into that. But so anyway, so I went through that and I was like, oh my God, dude, I'm really liking this thing. And if I could actually do that with other businesses, but it's got to be worth my time because I know if I'm bringing some to the table, I want a long-term, I want some kind of long-term financial package that we could come up together.
Sure.
But I'll do it on anything that you think you've never done before. So if you are like, hey, dude, I'm at 3 million, great. Everything that I want is above 4.
Gotcha.
So when we hit 4, then let's start having a conversation, right?
Absolutely.
And there's more stuff to it. So what I decided to do was I got into that, and then I still miss real estate. I'm not gonna lie, man. It's like it's almost like if you've always been a baseball player, you like sometimes going to the field and just smelling the grass.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
No,
that's totally true. No, man, that's awesome, Franklin. So let me ask you this, man. So for a lot of our listeners, they're either, in that infancy stage of, just getting their business going. Maybe they've started for about 3-6 months. They're starting to see a little momentum going. What would you recommend to folks that are just in that stage? They're starting to see, they're still kind of like a solopreneur. Maybe they hire virtual assistants here and there to do tasks for them. But what's the transition at that point? I've harped on it tons of times on episodes before, but it's always good getting experts like yourself to discuss what would be the next steps as far as scaling and moving up in the business.
So definitely a loaded question. I appreciate that, Jason. Thank you. It's like, tell me my entire life goal here. So here's a couple things to think about. So there's levels to this game. Okay. There's a level that I've been a part of for the last 6 months. Like I went all in on this level. And this is like the pinnacle of what we would say, oh my God, we made it, dude, we're done. And what that means is I've been working with companies that are doing between $50 million to $500 million with true leadership teams, long-term businesses, 10 to 20 years old, right? Yep. And then we've been improving their revenue streams and everything else. They still haven't really made it, right? Because there's no gap, right? There's no like, I made it, I'm in the Mount Everest, because there's something always higher and taller, right?
Right.
So what I look at it like, the very first thing is if I'm talking to a newbie or if I'm talking to, let's say, somebody who's already doing $1 million plus. So if you're a newbie, Your only goal, 100%, is to find one marketing outlet that works predictable. And a marketing outlet is the following. It could be lumpy mail. It could be online ads. Now, yes, on online ads, there's a lot of different facades that we find sexy. Well, we got to find a new Facebook thing. We got to find a new Instagram thing. We got to do this Twitter thing. We got to do the Google ads. We got to do the retargeting. We got to all this, I got to post on my website 15 times a day. I got to go on groups and do all this other shit. You've got to look at it. I'm sorry for cursing. I apologize.
You're fine.
For other
You're fine.
I do go to church 4 times a year. So what I meant was this. You've got to look at one source that is working for you, predictable. And you've got to stay focused. The entrepreneur, first of all, the newbie who's an entrepreneur, your main thing that you're going to run into constantly, and this is why there's called a 1%er, because 99% of you entrepreneurs aren't going to make it.
Yeah.
Just kind of being honest on statistics here, is because you're not focused. That's the number one thing. Jason has 2 amazing pictures behind him, and I actually have an Einstein one right here as well.
Nice.
And for me, the thing what I love about those Steve Jobs and Albert Einstein is, first of all, Albert Einstein, when he was younger, he didn't even speak until he was 8 years old.
Right.
They actually nicknamed him the lumpy one, right? And they called him that, and it's like he just couldn't speak.
Yeah.
But now they call him the father of physics, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right? Steve Jobs, same thing. He stayed focused. He had a mission. Hey, I want people to think differently. I want technology to help people. So you've got to look at what's the main thing that you're great at, and why are you doing real estate? I hate to tell this, dude, if you're doing real estate just because you want to make money, you're not going to be successful. I 100% am just like anything you do, if it's only for the money, it's not going to work. It's temporary.
I agree.
Because you could go outside and get a sign that says, dude, I need some money. And people will give you money, right? If you don't believe me, go get a bandit sign and do it, right? So, but you've got to look at it from a standpoint of just getting one thing working, doing that one thing consistently, and every single day make small improvements, right? Now, if you're somebody who's doing $1 million a year, or over 10 or 50 or 100 million, or even $1 billion, the framework that I'm about to show you right now works for those businesses, including the newbies.
Yep.
The hardest thing for a newbie is to get, if you have a business, you're not an entrepreneur anymore. Even for the ones that have a $100 million business, stop calling yourself an entrepreneur. I know it's sexy right now because Gary Vee made it sexy, right? But that's inaccurate. Gary Vee's an entrepreneur because he has several other businesses that he's working successfully, but he won the gold medal in one first. Jeff Hoffman, who's a personal mentor of me, I'm not sure you ever heard of Jeff Hoffman.
No, I have not.
You ever heard of, you ever go to the airport and you go to those kiosks?
Yep.
To pick up your tickets? Well, he invented those.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah. And then you ever heard of Priceline?
Yeah.
Okay. He founded that.
Nice.
So, billionaire. And you can look him up. Amazing guy. And I've met with him several times face to face. I have his cell phone number. Great guy. And what he told me, he said, you got to win the gold medal first. Then you could go play.
Yep.
But you got to stay focused on winning the gold medal. And you got to look at business as a flywheel. That's kind of, actually, I was talking about momentum in a flywheel. So if you know what a flywheel is, Jason, you know what a flywheel is, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I'm definitely not a mechanic, but I had a Google flywheel, right? So a flywheel, and you can look this up, is like it's almost like a big gear. It's a huge gear. And in that gear, just imagine a 2-ton flywheel gear, right? With 7 little pokes at it, right?
Yep.
And you got to push, it's 2 tons, right? So with a flywheel, you've got to push slowly and surely and precisely the same place time after time after time. And through time, you may get the flywheel moving a little bit.
Yep.
And through a longer period of time, now this thing that is a miracle thing in this world is called momentum happens. And then when you get momentum, the cool thing is the goal of a CEO And if you're an entrepreneur, remember, now you're becoming a CEO. Your only goal as a CEO, you only have one goal, is to get fired.
Yep.
That's it. That's your only goal, is to get fired, meaning the flywheel is moving so fast, you could back away from the flywheel and you're no longer, you're good to go. You don't even have to be there anymore. Does that make sense?
Totally. I just started reading because we have a pretty big lawn here. It's about 5 acres, so it takes me quite a bit to mow. And I love reading audiobooks. So yesterday I ended with Extreme Ownership, and then I transferred into The One Thing. And they were talking about how they fired themselves with that. And it's cool that now you're talking about it right here. And I was listening to it yesterday with those guys from The One Thing with Gary Keller's, famous New York Times bestseller book. So that's pretty cool that you're talking about that.
No, that's awesome. So here, I'm going to add to that.
Sure.
Oh, another great book too, you definitely want to listen to. And if you guys are Audible readers, which I'm infatuated with that, Good to Great is one. Good to Great, amazing book. If not, one of the, just keep re-listening to it. It's a great book. And even there's another one called the one page marketing plan.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, marketing is very, very important, but you got to get one thing down first.
Yep.
Right. In Facebook, again, Facebook is just Facebook. It's you got to look at everything as it's a marketing outlet.
Sure.
How can I utilize it? And then am I tracking it? Because if you're not measuring your results, you're just entertaining yourself. Like, seriously, like, what are you doing?
So are you talking like KPIs and stuff like that? Like measuring like key performance indicators?
Yes, KPIs. You got to track and measure it all. And there's two types of KPIs. People forget this. There's a right now KPI, and then there's what they call lagging KPI, right? So that means like, hey, we got it in the funnel, we got a lead. There's a KPI for that first lead. And then where's the lagging? Meaning what was the profit we made from that lead? But it takes usually 2 months to find that out.
Sure. No, I like that.
I'm not going above anybody's head.
No. We try and talk about things like that on the show so that people understand once they get out of, that 3 to 6 months, their first 3 to 6 months, they've closed a few deals. Now they're scaling. They need to know those things, the KPIs. Yeah. They need to know all that kind of stuff to measure. Hey, is direct mail working? Is Facebook working? All the stuff that's out there from a marketing standpoint, you need to understand. Yeah, you might receive a 20%, ratio for people that call you, but how much money are you actually making? Is that the front end KPI completely blinding you to what it is on the back end? So I really like that you bring that up, Franklin. And, moving right along here, you talk about, some of these different mindsets and these companies on where they're at. What does it take when somebody transitions? Now they're a CEO. What now, in order to them to get to the goal, what you were talking about, once you become a CEO, you need to get to that goal of getting yourself fired, which I absolutely love that you brought that up. It is so cool. But when somebody transitions and now they're the CEO, what's the mindset? What are they thinking?
Well, if you're transitioning now to becoming, a big boy with big boy pants, the first thing that you've got to do is you have to stop doing busy work. You are an architect, period. Yep. You're the visionary. You're the one that came up with a vision. And there's two things I would recommend. It all matters the level of your business. One, you got to bring somebody on board to see your blind spots. Because at the end of the day, we all have blind spots. Yep. And if you don't know what a blind spot is, drive and try to see if you could pull to the left and you didn't see that car, but you got 7 different mirrors in your car, plus you have sensors all around, right? So you could have all the protection you think you have, but you still need a coach.
Yep.
You still need somebody to say, hey, what are you doing? Or at the end of the day, are you hitting the goal that you already committed to? What's missing? And ask those powerful questions. A great coach asks powerful questions. You always know somebody who's amateur at being a coach or a mentor when they talk too damn much. Because at the end of the day, that's not what a coach does. A coach allows what I call the talent, which you're the talent, right, Jason? So if I'm coaching you, I'm just asking you questions. That's all I'm doing. You already know the answer. You just have to discover it for yourself because it's filed in that brain somewhere, and you just didn't merge those two actions together. So if I say, Jason, if you want to double your business, what's missing right now, Jason, to double your business?
Oh, you're asking.
And I would say,
yeah.
That's a true question. You know what? You could ask it for real. Go ahead.
What is missing to double? Oh my. That's a great question. What's missing right now? I probably need to get another individual in an officer position, because we have several different businesses that we do. So for the real estate acquisition side, for sure.
Okay. So then I would dig into that. Hey, what would that person look like? Mm-hmm. What would the person that you're like, let's get a sheet of paper. Everybody, I want you to write down a list of 8 people that right now that you already know is the character of that person that you want to bring in.
Nice.
Right. And then we dig into it, right? We dig into it because at the end of the day, for me being a coach, and again, coaching for me is a passion.
Yeah. I
do real estate just because it's literally the easiest thing I know how to do and make a shitload of money at it. Right.
I like it.
I really don't know that too many other things that I could do that other than that. And with the CEO coaching, the upside when it works, but that's years from now. That's more of like, that's a longer term plan for me.
Sure.
It's almost like building up an apartment building and then finally filling it up, but it took you 3 years to get it done.
Right.
So that's kind of how I look at it. Is like for them to make that transition, you got to get focused and you got to know this is a marathon. Like literally, it's a marathon. Steve Jobs, I love that picture up there. You know why? Because Steve Jobs had a great quote one time. He said, if your business is younger than 25 years old, don't worry, you still got time.
I like that.
Because they say the maturity of a business actually doesn't even happen until it's 20.
That is true. So I'm about halfway there. So one of the things too that I really like that stuck out, another quote that I heard, I'm not sure who it was. I just saw one of those things on Instagram and it didn't have an attribute to who said it, but you can get faster by yourself, but you can get further with individuals. I'm a full believer in that. I would rather receive 10% from 100 people than 100% from myself, because what if I'm sick? God forbid something happens. I'm sick for a week. Yeah. What's going to happen? 100% of that is going to be absolutely nothing. So I'm a big believer in what you're talking about here. And I want people to really pay attention to this episode because it's really important that you start thinking like a CEO and you start delegating processes. And you like Franklin was talking about with what I just said, we would dive deeper into what that person would look like. You gotta, just like how we have avatars for who we're trying to find as far as homeowners, you have to have the same type of avatars with people that you're going to be working with. Would you agree with that, Franklin?
1,000,000% agree. And matter of fact, I'm going to reference another book and author. If you guys are big readers, it's called Level 5 Leadership by Jim Collins as well.
Okay.
And there's also Scale Up by Vern Harnish. And he's the founder of the EO and Gazelle Coaches. Okay. So on the Level 5 Leadership, which I love about Level 5 Leadership, is we're infatuated with the sexy CEO that we see now, which is, the charismatic ones. This is Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, the charismatic ones, right? That you're like, oh, wow. But the funny part is 95% of all great companies do not have CEOs like that at all. They actually have, and this is the 3 things, if you ever read the book, this pulls out of it. It says they have to be humble, hungry, and smart. Yep. And humble is the biggest thing. It's just because as we get older, especially in a social media age, we want the endorphins to go off all the time when somebody likes it or makes a comment, or I get sucked into that too sometimes. And I literally on my phone, I have to get rid of the app or log out to make sure. I literally have to think about, do I really want to get into here right now? Right. Is this really where I want to go? Because I'm telling you, the focus is the biggest thing. If you would track focus time, Like even tracking from your iPhone, it has this new tracker now. You can track your productivity all day.
Yeah.
Or teamwork or some way that you're tracking it. You'll see that anybody that's listening to this has the same exact capabilities of scaling your business than me or Jason. Like anybody.
Yep.
It really does. It comes with, and one thing I'll even share with even the newbies, if you're new, old, or if you got $1 billion business, if you got $1 billion business, you should be doing this. If you're not, you're definitely missing the boat. You need to take time out. There's 4 quarters in every year. 4 quarters.
Yep.
Each quarter, you should be taking out 2 to 3 days just to plan, just to recap. What did we do? What did it look like? How can we make readjustments? And there's a whole thing that I go through. But then if you're planning and you don't even have core values, why are you doing what you're doing? What is the purpose? Well, I just want to make money. No, I'm sorry. I'm telling you, that is not a long-term strategy. 100% out of 100% of companies that go for that mark do not hit it.
That's true.
It's literally undefeated when it comes down to that strategy. It does not work.
Yep. Yep. I agree with you 100%. I'm a big believer in what's that?
I said, you go ahead and add, please.
No, I was just going to say, man, a lot of people, they just tend to plan that, you know, for their New Year's. Like they want to plan out everything that they're going to do. And, you know, it's the same thing when people start a business the first of the year or they go to the gym. Most of them tend to wean out by the 3rd or 4th week in January. And I always tell my folks when we have our weekly coaching calls is to always be, you know, not just setting a plan, but when you set the plan, you have to plan, do, check, adjust. So yeah. I didn't come up with that, but I got it from a guy named Orrin Woodward, a really great individual that's come out with some great books. And nice. Plan, do, check, adjust. Like when I'm just starting out with somebody, I always tell them to write out like, you know, 3 or 4 things that they want to get accomplished as far as goals. And then from the goals standpoint, how do you plan on getting those goals accomplished with action steps? And then we set milestones. Like you've got day 1, day 2, and so on and so forth. And I always tell folks, don't be afraid to adjust your plan. Just make sure you have a plan A and that's it. Burn the ships behind you. There is no plan B. So I agree with you 100% on the planning standpoint. 3 days is really not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. We're looking at 12 days out of the whole year, and we all have the same 168 hours in a week.
Yeah. And really the goal as a CEO, when you'll start seeing this, is time is not the predictor anymore. It's just going to be achieving certain things that you need to achieve.
Yep.
It could take an hour. It could take, like, I always have 3 main things I need to get done every day. And one of them may be, I'm going to make breakfast for my wife, right? So I crossed that one off. I already got 2 more to go. You know why? Because I used to be that guy that put down 15 different things on my calendar, right? And then I would get depressed, right? This is my old calendar. I would get depressed because I wouldn't achieve all of them. You know, out of 15, I got 10.
Yep.
And I would still feel mentally, I was like, man, messed up. So I created this new philosophy. And I've read this in so many other books. I just kind of put it my own way.
Yeah.
You're only going to write down 3 things that you've got to get done. And that's it. But it has to correlate into what you're trying to achieve that quarter.
Yep.
Everything is going to that quarter goal. So as long as those 3 things, you know, is pushing the flywheel, then you're good.
Yep.
You know, you're good. And remember, time is going to be able to tell you what's working and what's not. But you know, if you already came up with, hey, this is what's going to push this flywheel moving,
yep,
then I'm going to do that. You know,
I agree.
Same thing for me. There's a part of my flywheel is branding and strategically getting on certain audiences, which is my audience as well. So that's why when I saw the opportunity, I was like, yeah, of course I'll do a podcast. No problem. Right. It goes on my flywheel, but you got to think about that. Because if you were talking to moms and you had a totally different kind of podcast, that's not my audience.
Right.
So now I'm wasting my time, which I'll be like, look, dude, I love it. Probably I can get you with this girl. She could definitely be great for your audience. And it'll be a good mesh.
Right.
And then the other thing is, it's not that hard. You got to just have a 1-page plan. Anybody could go, and I'll show you that if you go to like gazelle.com or type in 1-page strategic plan on Google, this will pop up. And so And then we've modified our own.
No, I like that.
So in this one-page plan, which everybody sees every day, it has what's your core beliefs, meaning you would fire yourself, Jason, if you went against these beliefs that you wrote out. So if you have no integrity, right, and you're not doing what's in your core beliefs, you would have to fire yourself. And people would have to know in your company and organization, like, guys, this is one of our core beliefs. Like, this is a non-negotiable thing, right? And then going into what's your purpose? What's the one line of why you're doing what you're doing? It could be for an orphanage, and it could change. All this stuff changes every quarter. It could be for us, our goal is, and me and my wife, we have a 40-year plan, right? So our 40-year plan is $67 million, but we want to give away 66 of it.
Yeah. Nice.
Right.
That's awesome.
So that's one of our goals. So now we make adjustments. All right. So what does that look like? Well, we got to make $2.3 million every single year. We've got to give away X amount every single year. How do we start thinking about that? So you're already starting to think about it. Who do I know? How can I be resourceful to get there quicker? And so for me, it's like commercial apartments. I'm like, dude, I could probably get there a lot quicker if I was in the commercial. Well, who do I know it's in commercial? Or who do I know that may know somebody that's in commercial?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And that's only because I've already done the real estate side. But if I didn't, I would say, who do I know that's in single family? Who do I know that I could probably work on or pay to learn, who really has a good name that I could learn something from?
Yep.
And then I would go in that direction, right? And then what's your target? What the hell are you shooting for? You know, it's like, you're playing this game,
right?
But what's the score? How do you know what's the scoreboard and what's the actual goal?
Right.
Like specifically, not just saying, dude, I want to be free. And I just want to be real. Yeah. I'm going to dress how I want. I'm like, no, that's actually not what you're supposed to do. At all. And when you first start out being an entrepreneur, you got to work 90 hours because you didn't want to work the 40. I got it.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree, man. I agree. No, that's awesome, dude. So
am I preaching?
No. I love it. I love everything that you've shared, man. This has been a really, really great episode. And, I just want to be able to have people know how they can get in touch with you. What's a way that they can reach out to you, Franklin?
Well, definitely franklincruz.com is one way. And the other way is really just find me on any kind of social media outlets. I'm out there.
Okay.
100%. For me, I look at it like this. If somebody really wants their knowledge, they're going to find that person.
Yep.
And if it's me, great. If it's not, and if it's somebody else, great. I just want you to win.
Yep.
For me, I have a very nonsense kind of way of going about it. If your business is not doing $1 million or above, I'm not your guy. Like I can't make the major impact that I want to make in the world working with businesses below $1 million.
Gotcha.
It doesn't work for me. For me, my main purpose in life as a human being is to make the biggest impact that I can. And that's why I chose CEOs, because to me, I truly believe that CEOs are the ones that literally we could change the world because they created everything.
Yep.
The screen that we're looking at, the microphone we're talking about, everything, the headphones that you got on, everything was created by a CEO's idea or vision.
Yep.
So for me, it's like, so I want to be the guy that can help advise and see their blind spots and just say, dude, I got your back. Because a lot of times, man, I'm not going to lie to you. There've been so many times I've been lonely or depressed, or you're just like, dude, I have nobody to talk to. And you don't want to talk to your peer groups because you want to look good.
Yeah, that's true.
You're just like, I don't want to tell people what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Hell no. Even at a mastermind, you're just like, nah, I'm not going to say shit.
I know. That's happened to me too, man. It's happened to me too. And it's so much easier to get it off your chest and you feel so much better, especially if you're with the right group. They're going to be there to support you and help uplift you so that you can get back on track. And like you've been saying throughout this whole entire episode, getting focused, and using your time appropriately and not wasting it because you can't buy more of it. So Franklin, with that being said, franklincruz.com, you could go to and check out Franklin's website or check him out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all the social media stuff. Franklin, do you have any parting words for our listeners, my man?
You know what? If you listen to this entire podcast, first of all, you're like the 1%, right? So thank you for that. I'm really honored that you had the opportunity to listen to me and Jason. My biggest thing is, please don't do this in vain. Do something about it. Take an action. Stop podcast for the rest of the day if you have to, or rest of the week, or only keep listening to this one, and actually take those steps. Because at the end of the day, it does work. It does 100% work. And if you play the game full out and you get nothing out of it, call me back. I'll write you a check for $1,000. But you got to prove to me that you played this game.
Yep.
Because I know for a fact that this does work. It's just at the end of the day, you got to stay focused, man.
I love it. I love it. So FranklinCruz.com. Make sure you go check it out. Make sure you follow this guy on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all those spots. He's delivering some awesome bombs that will help your business explode and see exponential growth. But other than that, I am Jason Lucchese. If you need anything from us here at No Flipping Excuses, feel free to reach out to us. It is support@jasonluchese.com. That is support@JASONLUCCHESI.com. But other than that, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. If you are seeing this on iTunes or if you are watching this on Facebook, drop us a message below. Let us know that you've enjoyed the show. And in the show notes, we've got FranklinCruz.com already set up for you. So all you need to do is click on it and you will go on over to Franklin's website. But other than that, thanks for joining us. Have a great day. Go flip a property. Talk to you later. Bye.